It makes me mad. Dusty cared enough about her to crawl over imaginary mountains. I'm going to let that be what it's going to be. Soap tax, soap tax, soap tax. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome or welcome back to Soap Lore, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of primetime. I'm your host, Jet, viewing and reviewing the soapiest, sudziest primetime storylines of 1981. We are back in Dallas. Buckle in because this is an exhilarating ride. I enjoyed every moment of it, probably for the wrong reasons. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids to play outside or out of sight. Tell babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, be cool, be quiet, or be completely kicked out because we've got to chitter chat about our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Soap Lore. So welcome or welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. I am absolutely beside myself because I watched 2 episodes of my vintage primetime soap opera this morning and I really enjoyed everything that came from it. Okay. Now, the last time we went down to Dallas, I left out major plot lines because it was all about Sue Ellen. Sue Ellen happens to be my favorite person in Dallas, and I try not to have favorites, but I do. There's something so just magnetic about her to me. There's something so interesting. I think she represents a lot of women who aren't honest with themselves. And so you see the demise of the life they thought they were going to have. You understand how people become like bitter old women. And I hate to use those terms because it's like, nobody becomes bitter for no reason. You have to acknowledge why they got there. And Sue Ellen is just, she's a prime suspect. She is the best case you could ever study. I am fully enjoying her. I want you to go ahead and grab something bubbly and bright. Grab some ice, grab a glass, put on your finest silk robe, and let's enjoy season 4, episode 17 of Dallas, called The New Mrs.Ewing. I hope you're watching this on Amazon Prime. If not, find a way to do it. I feel like Dallas seems to be, if I'm being honest, Dallas seems to be the most tangible soap opera of this era. Falcon Crest is extremely hard to find. Dynasty's out there. Knots Landing wants you to buy all the DVDs, and now they put it on Amazon. It's a whole thing. If you're watching this, I left out a lot because I first and foremost, you're not going to convince me that someone coming back from the dead is more important than anything else that's going on. I didn't give a damn about episode 16 after I figured out that Dusty wasn't Dust. And I started to look at Sue Ellen a little bit differently. Like, this is a girl who was raised to be Mrs. Texas. She was raised to marry a rich man. But the truth is, her mom didn't marry a rich man. She married a broke man. And she just instilled in Sue Ellen all of the lessons that she learned. If your husband isn't a hard worker, you're going to be in poverty. If you don't have something for yourself, you're going to be in poverty. Only Sue Ellen doesn't pick up on that. She's like, I have to be pretty, I have to be prim and proper, I have to marry a rich man. But she had no idea. It's very clear that she had no idea how absolutely draining that would be. So can you imagine living this life for 8-9 years, meeting a man who actually speaks to your soul, only to find out that he's dead, only to mourn that, and then only to find out later on that he's not really dead? That is the worst mind trick, as far as I'm concerned, that she's ever experienced. As most people. And most people don't get the added closure that the person you were mourning is alive. That's rough. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to deal with. Okay, what I left out on the last episode is that the rest of the Ewing family are battling over non-communication. Donna, who has moved into Ray's little cabin that he finally built on top of the dead body that Digger Burns killed. Suddenly one morning, he's burning pancakes, baby. You can't eat burnt pancakes. And Donna's like, yo, we need to save this swampland. And Ray's like, no, we can't save that. So they discuss amongst each other that Ray says Jock is behind the swampland, and Donna's like, oh my God, that can't be right, because Ellie is behind preserving the swamp. And they're arguing, and they realize, like, wait a minute, this ain't really got nothing to do with us. Why don't we keep it cute? Because we are fresh back into each other's arms. I'm not trying to mess this up. Donna's not trying to mess this up. And they're like, okay, cool. Both of us will keep our mouths shut because we are sort of the periphery players. If you think about Dallas, they're not really in the mix like that. But Ray has been on the Ewing land for at least since he's 15 years old. And Donna is a multi-millionaire who has fallen in love with Ray, but she doesn't seem to come from money. So that's an advantage. These are regular people who happen to be in a situation where they are privy to knowledge that most people aren't privy to. Donna is a wealthy woman. Why would she waste her time with Ray? I know he's hot or whatever. He's a cowboy, but if being with him means I need to live on this ranch, that is a problem. Is that not a red flag? Right? Why does she need to stay on their property? That's the part that bothers me. The part that doesn't bother me, though, is the ism. One of the few isms that I am okay with. It's not okay to be sexism, racism, ableism. That's weird. But if nepotism is in the picture, suddenly I'm all aboard. So Pam has decided, or Lucy approaches Pam like, I need to make some money because otherwise I'm going to have to wake up and sponge down sinks and toilets and all kinds of gross stuff. Gross. Pam, even though she grew up in poverty, is like, girl, I can't have my niece scrubbing toilets. Let me hook you up with somebody. So she hooks her up with Alex, and he's having this whole audition for Miss Dallas, Miss Young Dallas. Lucy walks in. Mind you, she's not even 5 foot tall. If I'm measuring, I'm a tall woman. I'm like 5'9". I'm looking at Lucy. Lucy's probably 4'11" at best. She's always wearing candies. She's always wearing the mule candies. I don't know how really tall she is. She's between like 4'8" and 4'11". She is killing the suspender game for 1981. And when she walks into Alex's office, she don't have no portfolio. She don't have no business card, nothing of the sort. But he's like, okay, call this guy, get your pictures made, and I bet I can make something work for you. Then he calls in Pam. Pam comes in a leopard dress, and he's like just vibrating, just love. Pam goes on to say, listen, I didn't want her to get any special treatment. I just wanted you to look at her. And he says, that's cute or whatever. I'll play along. Even if she weren't your niece, she would be in the running because she's such a beautiful girl. Pam, just know that I want the best for you. And it's the whole weirdness that I didn't want to really just compound on in the last episode. Alex wants Pam, just like Dusty wants Llewellyn, just like Bobby wants to be a bigger man, bigger than Ewing Oil, just like JR wants Leslie to want him. However, it's presented in this episode as if Pam is innocent. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. She knew exactly who he was. She knew exactly what he did. She knew exactly what that could mean for Lucy. She still presented Lucy in front of him. I feel like this was Pam's opportunity to say, hey, you dipped out on me early. Maybe something could have happened. Maybe it didn't. I don't buy for 1 second that she is this purest of heart. Oh my God, I really want my husband Bobby. But you came into my life. No, he was going to do something. He just left early. And now that your niece needs a job, you're trying to spark up something else. It's almost as if she wants him to want her, even though she doesn't want him. Although I think she wants him. I think she 70% wants him, 30% doesn't want him. But she needs him to 130% want her. So Sue Ellen is talking to who I think should be her husband, Dr. LB, and she's telling him like, yo, the guy I thought was dead is actually alive. I saw him. We spent a magical, amazing afternoon together, but he asked me never to come back. And here's the thing. I know. I had forgotten about Sue Ellen being arrested and the clinkety clank. She lost all of her stand in Dallas. She has to face all of this embarrassment in the news, and I kind of forgot about that because we remember when there was a whole paternity test, her face was splashed across the tabloids. Even though she's the head or chair or vice president or something of the Daughters of the Alamo, she's still been embarrassed in Dallas, which is a big town, despite what Lucy says. Dusty cared enough about her to crawl over imaginary mountains. I'm going to let that be what it's going to be. Soap tax, soap tax, soap tax. To make sure that she was bailed out of jail, that she had a little extra money if she needed it when people thought that she shot JR. But JR didn't really give a damn. And this is the hurtful part. She and JR were Gucci and golden. For a little while, she was helping him get back on his feet. It was a whole thing until he decided that someone else was more interesting. So at the top of this episode, Sue Ellen is in the baby's nursery, the whole fever dream of a nursery for John Ross Ewing III. And JR pops in and he's like, oh my God, I'm so surprised that you even remembered you had a baby. And she's like, don't do that. Please don't do that. But it's like, why is he hateful to her? When he got shot, she was nothing but supportive. Why does he feel the need to be hateful? And then you think about that. She knows all this time that Dusty is really alive. She could have a whole nother life. I don't think eliminating sex from her life was a big deal when you consider what she has to live through every single day. Plus, there are apparatuses. There are other means to reach the promised land. Okay, so back to Dr. Elby and she. She's in his office explaining the whole Dusty situation. And on the last episode, I was a little bit annoyed at Dr. Elby, but then I thought about it later, like, this seems like a likely story. He didn't really know the full course of the situation when she was like, someone is following me. I guess it is his job to ask probing and uncomfortable situations so that your client can kind of snap in or out of whatever they need to snap in or out of. So after she tells him the whole situation and that she could be okay with not having intimacy in that way, physical intimacy with Dusty, he's like, so Ellen, I'm really, really proud of you. I don't think you realize what you just did there. You're saying that you were presented with this man who you have this deep love for, and you put his feelings ahead of yours in enough of a way to be like, I will love you from a distance out of respect for you. You should be really proud of yourself. I also think that means that you have a lot more power within you, that you can do this anytime. Basically, you're doing a great job. Now it's time for you to make some decisions. Are you going to stay with your husband? Are you going to reach out to Clint? Are you going to reach back out to Dusty? Either way, I'm supporting you and I'm proud of you. And I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of you, Dr. Elby, for snapping out. Although I do think they make a great couple. He does raise interesting points. She's been solid this whole time. She's never lied. She's been telling the truth this whole time. And now she's just like, okay, you're right. I just did one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So now I'm going to make other decisions for myself. So this episode, she does end up driving back to Dusty's house. And unfortunately, it's up for sale. She climbs back into her automobile, goes to a payphone, makes a call to Clint. I guess, Clint, you're up. They meet for lunch and she's doing this sort of hand caressing thing. That the same thing we saw on Dynasty with Dexter and what's the girl's name? The publicist girl. Tori? Whatever, Tracy. Maybe you can't, you can only be so sensual on television in 1980, 1981. So she's, I love you. We're not going to talk. This is Sue Ellen again. Sorry. Sue Ellen and Clint are eating at a restaurant, which is not discreet at all. And she's just kind of caressing his hands like, listen, we're not going to make any major decisions today. Although they do at the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. We don't get to see it, obviously. And I didn't want to see it. But she's like, oh, Clint, at last. And that's where we're at with Sue Ellen this episode. Dusty's gone. Clint, you're up, buddy. We got to jump back into Lucy. So Lucy was awarded the Young Miss Dallas, which I'm assuming is going to be a magazine. My whole thing with Pam and Alex is that, okay, you knew he would give your niece a job. You knew that. You also knew you wanted him to know that you were there. I don't feel like she's playing like super innocent, but she is playing dumb. She definitely is keeping this guy on the string as far as I can tell. So Lucy is so excited. She's like, oh my gosh. She brings back some pictures of herself. One of the girls in the lobby was like, hey girl, you need a resume, you need a card. Go get you some glossy photos made. And she's like, okay, thank you so much. These ladies are very generous with their information. She does bring back some photos to Alex and he's like, you know what, you're lucky. A lot of people are pretty, not everybody's photogenic. And I'm like, damn, that is so true. Sometimes you ever hear, just if people tell you look better in person, sadly, that means you're probably not that photogenic. So anyways, He hands her a check for $1,000. Yes, I did the math. That is approximately $3,400 in 2025. What a day, right? She gets $1,000 advance and she's so excited that she runs, hold on. I got to figure out how to tell this story. Okay. She tells Mitch. Mitch comes home and she practically leaps into his arms. She's, oh my gosh, honey, I have to tell you something. Let me tell you my news. She's bibbity boppity booing all over the place. He's like, okay, I have news too, but you go first. So she sits on his lap, pulls a check out of her pocket. She's wearing suspenders again. They are so cute. And it's like, bam. And he opens and he's like, $1,000? What is this for? She explains that she is the new Miss Young Dallas. It's an advance and that she's going to get paid. So now she can pay for the maid. It's so exciting. Poor little Mitch. Mitch also pulls out a check and is like, oh, hey, it's for $60. She's like, oh, what is this for? He goes, well, I worked a few nights so that I could pay for the maid. And she was just like, baby, I love you so much. Not, you know what? I get it. What a hardworking guy. This guy has 47 jobs. What a sweet kid. But damn, he was just like, I've just never even held $1,000 in my hand, not one time in my life. You Ewings, whatever you touch just turns to gold. He doesn't really seem mad. He seems more shocked. But also, in Lucy's defense, I felt like and feel like she got that check the same way she got Mitch. Well, not exactly the same way. She has a face card. A beautiful one at that. And she's got paid handsomely for it. She can't help that she's gorgeous. I mean, he can't help that she's gorgeous. It's the reason he's with her. And she certainly can't help that her aunt is gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? That is generational wealth. They just have beauty on their side and their beauty pays dividends. So there's a lot of crossover with this one little scene. So let's go back to Ray and Donna. Ray and Donna want to get married. They go down to the courthouse to get their marriage license. And as they're coming down the steps, they're trying to decide who they want to be with them. It's not going to be anything big, but they definitely want someone there to witness it. So Donna, who's very close with Ellie, is like, well, why don't we do Jock and Ellie? Jock and Ray are close. Ellie and Donna are close. It'll be a good thing. But Ray's like, me and Miss Ellie aren't on the best of terms right now. It's not Ray's fault. I don't know why I had such a problem with that statement. It's not Ray's fault that they're not on the best of terms. Ray hasn't changed anything. And think about this, y'all. I was wiping down my kitchen table and I just started to think, I was like, man, Ray has lived with them since he was a kid, a fresh teenager who just lost the only parent he ever knew. Lucky for him, he found a letter or something that said, go to this ranch and they'll help you out. And they did, but they knew who he was, even though he didn't know who they were. Not like that. He didn't know that Jock was his dad. But they were content to let this guy live like a peasant on the farm. He's living with the farm hands. He's living in the little shack or whatever. Yeah, he worked his way up, but it's like you didn't even make any of your kids work their way up like that. And you knew he was your son. How messed up is that? So Ellie, I understand how she's feeling. A lot of this rage is towards Jock. Unfortunately, Ray is getting the residue from it. But I'm like, he literally hasn't done, well, he hasn't done anything to Jock or Ellie directly. He definitely slept with Lucy for a long time, which is very, very uncomfortable truth now. But he's like, we probably shouldn't. Miss Ellie would probably not be super pumped to be at my wedding. So Donna's like, okay, that's fair. Let's do Pam and Bobby then. Or Ray suggests Pam and Bobby. Pam and Bobby. Good old neutral Pam and Bobby. They don't piss people off. Good looking couple. They're going to be happy for us. Absolutely. So the wedding happens very quickly after that. Pam and Bobby show up. They're throwing rice. They're like, hey, let's go have a champagne breakfast. Pam can't do that because she needs to run back into town for a meeting. She just took off that morning to make sure she could be at the wedding. Donna looks lovely. Ray looks great. Everybody's super happy. And I think, God, this was a good choice. You want genuine joy on your good day. So Pam excuses herself so she can run to her meeting. Bobby, I guess, takes them out to breakfast. They all go back to the ranch. And this is where we see Lucy. So this must be the next day after she got the check. She's telling her grandparents, or at least Ellie, that she got this new job. And she's super excited about it. I'm once again reminded how great the casting was. Ellie and Lucy really do look alike. Like, I'd love to know if they did a little DNA test at some point. They got to be related on some branch of their family tree in real life. Anyway, when they show up, it's Ray and Lucy. It's Lucy and Ellie are sitting on the patio. Ray, Bobby, and Donna come up. And Ellie's a little bit hard to read. Ray says, Miss Ellie, I'd like to introduce you to the newest, and he almost said Mrs., but he caught himself. He said, well, she ain't Miss Ewing, because I ain't no Ewing. To the newest member of our family. And Ellie goes, you got married. Just flat like that, you got married. But then she says, oh, that's wonderful. Ellie is really going through it. Ellie's give a damn is a little bit broken. She's finding it hard to put up that happy facade. So best I can tell, she really is excited about it, because if nothing else, she really does enjoy Donna. Donna's a smart, talented woman, and they have the same vision when it comes to an unspoiled Texas. Hold that thought. We're going to backtrack just a little bit more. If you will recall, Bobby has been hand-plucked to be the newest state senator for Texas. And apparently, even though this is a shotgun campaign, he did really, really well. It's like, God, I feel like they announced it one morning. By that evening, he had all the votes. By the next day, he's a new senator. And they have this whole very awkward campaign celebratory situation where he gives a speech and they make the microphone sound like they did in Forrest Gump. So he's all, hey everybody, thank you for coming out. I won. We won. I'm going to do a good job, blah, blah, blah. Well, Ellie's there, Jock's there. Jock and Ray had been sitting with Punk, the dude with the flawless bolo tie. They're pumped because they're like, yes, we're not going to get any opposition with Bobby in office about I'm going to say T'Challa, but I'll get the right name of this, the T'Challa Project. Topeka, T'Challa, T-Somthin. Flashback to the campaign, like where Bobby's giving a speech, and Ellie is telling Donna, oh girl, this is wonderful. With Bobby in office, we're not going to have any resistance against saving those wetlands. Bum, bum, bum. So everybody's celebrating, they're happy. Bobby and Pam go home at the end of the night. Pam pushed her Rick James hair back just for this one episode so she can look like a wife instead of a super freak for a second. They go home and they're sitting on the steps and she basically says, I'm happy for you, babe. I just wish Cliff could be involved in some way. Bobby takes that to heart and he does go and visit Cliff a little later in the episode. Cliff is packing his books and talking trash. Like, Bobby, you are so not qualified for this. Please don't play in my face. What do you really want? Bobby's like, I know I'm not, but you are. Would you come and work for me? It didn't take Cliff very long. I thought he was going to I expected them to drag this out a little bit, but he was like, you know what? Yeah, actually I will. And Bobby's like, that's so cool. But Cliff goes, are you sure you know how I feel about you and your family, right? He's like, yes, I do. But also, I think Bobby knows that nobody really hates Bobby. Nobody hates Bobby. And Cliff definitely loves Pam. And it's almost as if Cliff could read his mind. He's like, listen, I'm not doing this for you or Pam. I'm doing this just to piss off JR. If for no other reason than to see the look on his face. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Okay, so the wedding happens right after that. Pam has to go back to work. Lucy's out at the branch. Donna and Ray show up. Bobby is with them. So, okay. All the celebration is going on. Let's flash back to Miss Ellie. Donna, Ray, I want to have a party for y'all tonight. Nothing big, just a family. It'll make me really happy. They're like, great, we'll be there. Then Lucy's like, oh, well, I have some news too. She hadn't told them yet. I'm going to be the new Miss Young Dallas. And everybody's like, well, congratulations, Lucy. That's cool. Bobby pulls Lucy in, gives her a little kiss on the forehead. And he's like, sweetie, this is so wonderful. When did this happen? How did this happen? And she goes, well, that's why I'm here. I came to thank Pam. It was all Pam. She set me up with Alex Ward, and that's all Bobby needs to hear. You see the look in his face, like, with who? And Lucy's going on and on. Bobby takes off. Bobby goes flying down to Pam's office, burst in. Her assistant has been working overtime. I swear this woman is just trying to do her job. Alex is calling, looking for Pam. Bobby's bursting indoors. She's like, can I just please catalog this stuff so we can move on? He bursts in, hey, where's Pam? She's in a meeting, Mr. Ewing. With Alex Ward? No, she's with so-and-so and with so-and-so. He's like, all right, bet. I thought he was going to go burst into her meeting, which would have been extremely unprofessional. He doesn't. He drives clear across town to check Alex Ward. So Alex is in his office. Bobby comes bursting in, and he's like, stay away from my wife. Alex is like, listen, it's no secret that I find her to be a complete and total smoke show. I love everything about her. And if you have been taking care of home, I wouldn't have even had a chance. I put the moves on her. Yes, I did. She rejected me, but let me tell you something. I wouldn't have got as far as I did if you knew how to take care of your marriage. How absolutely embarrassing to be scolded by the potential side dude that, like, dude, you need to take care of your wife or someone like me is going to come in there and scoop it up. Bobby had the nerve to be shocked. I'm like, what? So he confronts Pam about it a little later at home, right before the party. And he's like, Pam, I saw Alex Ward today. You said you weren't going to see him again. She's like, listen, it wasn't like that. Lucy needed a job. I knew he used models. That's all I'm saying. Well, Bobby's like, well, he told me that he tried to make the moves on you and that our marriage was in trouble. Is our marriage in trouble? And she's like, it was. I'm so annoyed. But I think about this. Bobby really has just been kind of busy. So I suppose on his end, because he's not the one carrying the sadness and the loneliness, I can understand how you could be a little bit oblivious to that. But if you ain't seen your wife in 4 months, there might be some things going on just below the surface that you need to attend to. Okay, I think we're getting to the very best part in my personal opinion. So while Bobby and Pam are having this whole conversation, you know how the family does. There's always a pre-dinner drink down in the living room while the servants prepare a meal. Only on tonight, it's going to be a party. So Pam and Bobby are having this, heart to heart about their marriage when Jock comes knocking on the door and he's like, hey, they're here. So everybody goes downstairs. And the lovely, the new Mrs. Ray Krebs and Ray show up, and it's just, it's nice. Oh, love you, lovely, blah, blah, blah. You love Ray, blah, blah, blah. Ray loves you. Okay, so Ellie's... At the top of this episode, I said the rest of the Ewings are suffering from not communicating. This is the biggest case in point of said communication lacking. Ellie clinks her glass. It's like, well, I have an announcement that'll make Donna very happy. The daughters of the Alamo got an injunction today. We have stopped the Tacapa. That's what it's called. The Tacapa project. And Jock's like, what? Ray's like, damn. Everybody else in the house just kind of looking like, oh, that's cute. What's that? And Jock says, you did what? Ellie is none the wiser. She's like, oh, I stopped the Topeka. T'Challa. I stopped that, whatever it is. And he goes, I am Tacapa. I have to think of it like Tucape feel. I am Tacapa. And she's like, what? Total lack of communication. But she has been successful. She's been quiet about what she's doing. He tried to sort of talk to her the morning after he wrote Ray into the will, but she wasn't trying to hear it at that point. I was going to leave out the part about JR, but I can't because it was, there's some funniness and there's a kind of an explosion a little bit from Ellie. There was a lot going on this episode. This one was fat full with just storylines. So JR is back at the helm and the cartel wants him to jump into this new project in the Rocky Mountain. Leslie Stewart is still working her magic. She doesn't seem to be recording him this episode, but she is quietly waiting, watching, and listening. So she asks if she can be in on this meeting. JR's like, of course. Now, Jock is aware of this meeting because JR told him. So this looks like even more money, even more expansion for Ewing Oil. Except when it comes time for the meeting, Leslie's sitting there. Jordan Lee is telling JR how they have these coal mines and we own this land here and we own a little bit in Utah and we're basically going to do whatever we need to do. But Leslie jumps in and she's like, isn't that illegal? Isn't that people kind of look at that sort of mining as just ruining the land? Ewing Oil can't be associated with something like that. Now, JR didn't say a lot. He just says, I think you're jumping the gun a little bit here. But this pisses off the other two members of the cartel. They were like, you know what? We out. I can't believe you let her run this, JR. Jordan Lee leaves. JR tells Leslie, listen, I care enough about you not to say anything in front of other people, but don't you ever do that to me again. She's like, I'm just trying to help, JR. He's like, well, you didn't help, and my dad's going to hit the roof when he finds out about this. Jock is chilling at the Cattlemen's Club. He sees Jordan Lee come in. Jordan Lee's pissed. He's like, well, hey, how did it go? Jordan Lee's like, what do you mean, how did it go? Jock says the meeting. Jordan Lee proceeds to say that witch was taking over the meeting. I can't believe y'all got that uppity broad in there running Ewing Oil. She's leading JR on by the nose, so nothing happened. No, we didn't join y'all. And Jock's like, oh my God. So immediately when JR gets home, Jock calls him into the office and he's letting him have it. JR, get your head out of your butt. You are ruining things. We just got good with the cartel. A woman's place is in the bedroom, not the boardroom. Well, I'll tell you what, he said the wrong thing at the wrong time because Miss Ellie opened the door just enough time to hear. A woman's place is in the bedroom, not the boardroom. She's like, oh, isn't that cute? So Jock goes, oh no, Miss Ellie, I didn't mean that. She's like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You mean a woman's place is 2 steps behind a man. Unless, of course, we're in a minefield, then, of course, it's 2 steps in front. She then says, you know what? Quite frankly, you guys are ruiners. You're spoilers. Everything you touch disintegrates to filth. I'm paraphrasing here. You'll use anybody and anything, even your own family. Y'all are disgusting. Both of you make me sick. And they're looking like, well, damn, Miss Ellie. But that's basically the energy of this entire episode. There's so much tension between Jock and Ellie. There's a little more tension between JR and Leslie because Leslie's running the long game here. You can tell she's doing something. Sue Ellen is off doing her own thing, trying to figure out where her life's going to go, how she's going to navigate being a prisoner with very little freedom. Pam and Bobby seem to be on the mend. And Donna is the newest Mrs.Ewing, but she's going to keep the crap name. All right, guys, that's it. That's all. Join me next time as we dive into some Knots Landing. We have a few episodes we need to burn through, and I already know that's going to be a good time. In the meantime, in between time, shut the door if you're going to call women bed wenches and broads and uppity heifers and whatnot. Or at least look over your shoulder. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.